Hello and welcome to episode 72 of Into the Podcast. I'm your host, Sam, and I'm joined each and every goddamn week by the beautiful Ryan Chittenden. Say hello, co-host Ryan Chittenden.
Hey up!
All right, mate.
Yes, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. We're recording from Chateau de Chittenden today.
We are indeed.
We've managed to figure it out how we can do it here and not use my fuck laptop, which is quite nice.
Yeah, because that caused you a lot of stress.
It was so much stress, and I fucking hated recording. I loved coming here, and it was always a great reason to come round and spend time with you and Claire and do something fun and maybe see Ed and Jess, people I don't get to see a lot. But the fucking dread that go through me when I open that shitty laptop I had to try and record. But this is so much nicer, so much easier. We managed to blast out a little special episode last night.
We did, indeed.
Which we're not going to tell you when it's coming because we haven't decided that yet.
Yeah,
we're just going to keep it in the bag. But we had a little guest on, and it was a bit of a longer episode as well. It was about 90 minutes.
It was really good fun, though.
It was amazing, and I'm so looking forward to putting it out. And, you know, it's just £10 to download. It's nice and cheap. So I guess we should just get straight into the meat of the episode then. Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves.
You saw him.
I'd seen him. I've been in a room with Keanu Reeves.
Mad is that?
That is crazy.
So obviously, it's not like you just went to his house. Tell us all
can
about
you
it.
imagine? That'd be so
would
cool,
great.
wouldn't it?
He'd let you in as well.
Yeah, I feel like he's the sort of guy that's just like a normal bloke, and you'd be really like just. I feel like he'd be kind of awkward, like socially awkward.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But would be really polite, and nothing to be too much trouble.
Oh yeah, but like, do you want cuppa?
Yeah.
It'd take a little bit longer making the cuppa, so he's not in the room with you as long.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that's
it'd
it.
still make you it,
Oh,
and he'd
yeah.
do a banging job as well. He'd let that 5 minutes that bag would be in, as we've discussed before.
That's the perfect brewing time.
Yeah. Yorkshire tea every day.
Oh yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't get to meet him properly, but I did get to see him perform with his band called Dogstar.
Dogstar, where he is the bass guitarist.
He is, yeah. He's the bass player. So I think it's a band, for those that don't know, because I didn't know much about them. I think it's a band that started in like the 90s, I think, and they're sort of like, I don't know how big they were. I think they were just sort of like on the LA scene type thing. Yeah. And then like 20, 30 years later, they decided to get back together. Because I assume they're still friends and stuff, and they recorded an album a year, maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then doing a tour on the back of it. So they came to the UK, and me and our boy Drew managed to get tickets to go see him in London.
That's awesome.
Which was really cool. So I didn't know what to expect, because if you listen to any of their music...
I haven't, no.
It's sort of like, I would describe it as soft Californian rock.
Right, okay.
If that gives you a sort of vibe as to what it is. Like, very easy listening. To coin a phrase that's Drew's favourite that we say, it's unoffensive.
Yeah. Which is
unoffensive
fine,
music, like, and they're all right. Do you know what I mean? They're kind of forgettable. Like, no disrespect to them, but if it wasn't Keanu Reeves in the band, they would be very small.
Yeah. Which, you know what, is okay. We're bigger because we have Keanu Reeves in the band, and Keanu clearly is into it, and that's why he does it.
Absolutely. And, I've listened to... They've only got one album out on Spotify, Between the Palm Trees and the Power Lines, it's called.
Yeah.
I've listened to it a few times in preparation to go and see them, and it's all right. Like I said, it's just sort of kind of background music, if that makes sense.
Which is fine. And sometimes that's okay, isn't it? To just have some music on, it's in the background, you're not going to learn the lyrics.
Yeah.
It's not going to go on a lot. But again, inoffensive is perfect music, because you're not going to be like, well, this is shit.
Oh, God, no.
Not shit,
yeah, exactly.
It's fine.
And so we went to see them. They were at an O2 Academy in Old Kentish Town. So it was good. It was a good day. Then they had a support act on first. So we got there. We didn't get... There's loads of people queuing straight away, like early. We got to the gig at like 2 hours before opening, because we thought we'll get there early. We could have some beers or whatever, like at the pub next door. People queuing straight away from like 5 o'clock.
Oh,
so obviously
mate,
they want to be at the front. It's not a massive venue, because like the O2 Academy venues aren't particularly big for if you go to them, because obviously they're dotted around the country.
Yeah.
But And we were like, yeah, sod that. Like
That was me back in the day.
yeah.
10 a.m. we'd get to a gig.
Wow.
And we'd just take it in turns, like popping off to get some food, and one person would sit there because that was us, you know. And granted, we met some of our heroes by doing that. You know, we've met some of our favourite people of all time because we was there for when they got off the tour bus. We're there for when they're popping out for food themselves. And you always get to the front. Too old for that shit now.
Yeah, I know
what I
what
mean?
you mean. Like, and I've done the similar sort of stuff. And like you said, I'm not that fussed about that. Like, because we went in, you know, really, it's a bit of a glorified gimmick because we're going just so to say we've seen Keanu Reeves.
Oh, God, you're not going to see the band, are you? You're going to see Keanu.
Yeah, and everyone else is clearly there for that. So, you know, we got in quite late. We went in, we were one of the last people to get in at like 8 o'clock, but still managed to get great spot because it's a small venue. So really, no matter where you go in, you get a decent spot. And the support act came on first, and they were already playing when we turned up, and they were like these two, I don't know, middle-aged guys from like California playing like, again, like Californian rock. It was just like two guitar players both singing. Fuck me, were they horrendous.
Really? Why so bad?
Oh my God. Like, they were just shit. Honestly, I really like seeing support acts, and I've got some of my favourite bands that I've ever seen are, and that I now follow, are just random support acts that I've seen on a gig that I've never heard of before. So I'm really open to support acts.
Yeah.
But these guys were shit. You know, like, I don't want to say like stereotypical Americans, but like, just imagine like, yeah, you're proper like LA, California guys are like, yeah, like, oh my God, England, yeah, and then like just sick. They were just cringy.
Are you talking shit as in like talent wise, or just in their
talent wise? His voice was like this. He didn't have a great voice. The main singer, it was quite high pitched.
Yeah.
There was no like, it wasn't catchy. They had like these little guitar riffs that were like horrendous. Like their last song, like that they played, they had like a little guitar riff at the end, and me and Andrew just turned to each other. You know, when there are moments where you just stop and look at each other, like, what the fuck is going on? It was like the start of Grease or something. Like, he just like this little breakdown of like ding, 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 and then they sing the song. You're like, what the hell is going on? Like, these guys are atrocious. And I think Drew said the same. Like he was laughing because he came back after he nipped to the toilet and came back. He's like, oh, he just overheard these two blokes chatting in the toilet, and one of them was like, oh, what do you think of the support act? You know, they were, and this other bloke was like, yeah, well, you know, they were all right. They just kind of nothing. Yeah, what did you think? And this other bloke just turned to Ed. They were fucking shite.
Someone trying to not be offensive.
Yeah. But and then this other person was like, nah, just fucking own
Dog
it.
shit.
They were
Say what it is.
shit. Honestly, they were appalling. So that really kind of set the tone then. I was like, oh, God. We weren't expecting much from the gig anyway.
Yeah, of course.
Listened to the Dog Star a bit. Not been blown away. So I really wasn't expecting anything. But, you know, to their credit, they came on and they were banging. They're clearly very talented. They were one of those that are better live than their actual album.
I think this is the thing, isn't it? I mean, clearly it's been going around for so long, they're going to be tight.
Yeah.
But I think this is it with any type of music. Like, you'll never experience the real music listening to it on a CD because you're not listening to it through them speakers.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Getting that pump, getting that energy of the room. And like, regardless of what it is, I mean, even down to like drum and bass and stuff like that, which isn't my biggest thing. I can't help but get sucked into it if I'm in a venue and they've got big drum and bass music on loudspeakers, because that beat hits you and you're immediately sucked into it.
Yeah.
So you're always going to get that with a band that you find that are just like, yeah, they seem okay. You're going to be sucked into that beat, that loud
exactly,
noise,
yeah.
you know,
And you get,
and if they're tight,
that's it. And they were very tight, like very talented musicians. I think the guy's got a decent voice. I think that's probably what's lacking. I think that's the difference generally between. I mean, you might correct me if I'm wrong. Sure, you know, been in the music scene and stuff, but I think the difference between like the bands that really make it really popular compared to perhaps some of the ones that are less successful is the voice, the vocals. I think that's the hardest to get because, you know, you could have two. there's lots of like probably easier to be again, correct me wrong, if like tight musically,
Yeah.
because people can practice and naturally talented at guitar. Someone's voice is their voice.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are ways around it. You know, I mean, you could get decent backing vocals. You can work around that. I think you can maybe get away with not having the best voice if it's a very average voice. You can get away with it by your charisma and your stage presence.
Yes.
Because I've seen the complete opposite with touring and stuff, where there's been someone with such a great voice, but they just fucking stand there.
Oh yeah.
And the whole band just stand there, and it's like, okay, this is good. But you're not sucking me in. I'm not feeling the energy I want to feel.
I totally agree.
I've seen people that don't have the greatest voice of all time, but they kick ass on stage.
Yeah.
That's what I was in the band. I wasn't a great guitarist, so fuck me, you knew I was there.
Yeah.
Because I was jumping off the stage, I was in the crowd, I was running around with my guitar, like that was a cover for me.
Yeah,
and I think that works well with singers as well. If you've got the charisma but not arrogance.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's it. And it's like stage presence. But, I guess, and that's harder to get away with, I think, if you're just recording it. Because,
100%.
like, if you just listen to the album, and I think that's perhaps one thing, it's like the focus is a little bit more on the vocals, but when you're just there,
a lot of auto-tune on a CD though, mate. I've
oh,
seen the
oh
wonders
yeah,
of
I know,
auto-tune.
but like again, but they can't. Auto-tune can only do so much, I think. But anyway, they were really good. They played quite a lot of new stuff as well, because obviously they've only got the one album out on Spotify. But the new stuff that they played was quality, really good. Like lots of energy. The music was quality, and just part of me thinks it's like, I wonder if they did the first album perhaps a bit tentatively, dipping our toe back in. We'll do an album, see how it goes. Now they've been touring, writing again, playing a lot together, probably grown in confidence massively. So they seem to be pushing their music a little bit more.
Yeah. Which again is probably easier to do when Keanu Reeves in your band. And if Keanu isn't doing a lot maybe in Hollywood, then you've already got that up. I mean, the music industry is so fucking inbred anyway. Like,
oh, yeah.
It's so bad. They immediately, it doesn't matter how they sounded, they were getting signed because of Keanu.
Yeah.
But I think if he's got the time for it, it's great that they can be like, let's really push this now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because
yeah.
We're going to get the back in initially, so let's get tight and actually take it serious, not just let's live off Keanu Reeves' fame.
Exactly. And you know what? To their credit as well, they did not make one reference to Keanu. Keanu didn't even have a mic.
Cool.
He was the bass player. There's three of them: bass, drum, a guitar / vocalist, and they didn't make any like Keanu gimmicks or jokes or like, oh yeah, you're only here because Keanu Reeves is here. Like they were like, no, we're a proper band and Keanu Reeves is famous, but we're not playing on that.
Yeah,
we're just Dogstar. We're three mates and that's it. We're all equals.
Brilliant.
And that made it so much better. It's made it so much more like, less just about. Because most people, like I said, are there just to see Keanu. And it was funny because we obviously got the floor and then we were like just above, like on the first tier around it. It's like just cause it's a small venue, so it's just we're on the first bit of standing, just on the steps basically. So we had a great view because you're looking over the heads of everyone else. But we could see everyone's phones, and they were just all angled to Keanu, like all the time. And fair play, he just seemed quite, again, like I said, quite socially awkward. Kept sort of like. He did it at one. I think one point did like an awkward wave to the crowd because obviously people they were chanting him and they got like a big cheer and that was it.
I was going to say the videos I got, he looked. I wouldn't say looked uncomfortable, but he was definitely just stood there. He didn't have a lot of charisma about him on the stage. No. He was playing his bass, and that was.
But his bass was quality, and again, maybe because you're focusing on the bass, like, oh, it's Keanu, and I want to try and take in what he's doing. But his bass playing was amazing. And it's one of them, like a lot of songs like. Again, some bass players, I listen to a lot of music, and some of the bass can sort of get lost in the music, and they don't get a lot of credit for what they're doing. Whereas others are a bit more in your face. You think of like Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers. It's like I'm playing bass, and that's an equal part to everything else.
Definitely.
And Keanu was a little bit like that. Like the bass playing was very front and center for a lot of it. So
I'm going to give this a go.
Yeah, it was really good. Like it'd be nice if they did like a live album or something because that was really, really good.
Yeah.
It was a surprise hit actually. Awesome to say. I'm like, oh my god, they're fucking Keanu Reeves. How surreal's that?
Yeah.
The Keanu Reeves is right there. But
there seems to be. I mean, there's a lot of A-list celebrities that are in bands that seem to be touring a lot at the minute. Obviously, Keith Sutherland's going on tour.
I know, we're wanting to get tickets, didn't we? Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago that David from X-Files, what's his name? David.
Oh, Muldowney or something.
I can't remember what his surname is, but his band tours quite a lot.
Yeah, there's loads at the moment.
So there's quite
Damian Lewis, he's touring. He's
Yeah.
from like Band of Brothers and stuff.
Obviously, you've got Johnny Depp and Alice Cooper.
Yeah,
Hollywood Undead, are they?
Hollywood Undead. Yeah, Russell Crowe is touring this year as well with
Is
his
he?
band. Yeah, he's playing in Leeds.
I think it's mad, and it's really good to see because again, it opens your world up. I mean, you and me are very open to music anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we are very eclectic, but it's quite nice to be like, fuck it, we are going to see Russell Crowe, we're going to see Keanu, we're going to see these people. But you're going to be opened up to a whole new genre of music
That's
and a
it,
whole
yeah.
new group of people, and I do like that. And you are there for the gimmick, really. You know, I know some people. I'd love to have got the Kiefer Sutherland tickets because he's a country player at heart.
Yeah,
And I love
like country, like Americana
Yeah,
style.
I love that type of music. So for me, that'd be banging. But a good friend of mine who is a massive Kiefer Sutherland fan it's just not my music.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get into that gimmick. I don't want to go see it. It's like I wouldn't enjoy the gig.
Yeah.
Just because it's Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
was like, you know, that's fair enough. Whereas I think I would get sucked into that gimmick to try the music.
That's
even
it.
If it's just once.
I'm exactly the same. Like we're both big music buffs, probably on equal pegging with the films and TV. We just don't talk about it as much. But totally agree. Like I started listening to Keith Sutherland because I want to get tickets, but unfortunately, it's literally around due date for Baby. So
Days, isn't it? Yeah.
It's literally. I think the Lincoln gig is actually on due
Yeah, it
date,
is,
so
yeah.
it's like. Probably can't risk it because the tickets aren't overly cheap either. To say they're only small venues,
Nah, they're
it's,
about 50, I
40
think
quid.
yeah.
I think they are.
But then even then you see a ticket and you go, oh, that's not bad, 38, 40 quid. But then these venues, they take their cut and your booking fees. Before you know it, it's an extra tenner on top.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not that cheap. Fair play, the Keanu Reeves one, I think was 40, 45 quid. Not
Okay.
bad. To say it's London as well.
Yeah. Which you're always going to pay more for, aren't you?
Yeah, totally. It was a really good night, really surprising. I love live music and I love music in general. So it's nice, like you said, to open up new musical tastes because it's quite easy to get stale with music and just stick the same things all the time. So it's nice to experience new artists.
Yeah, I've got to say I'm very stale with my music, and more these days singles. Like I'll hear a single and I'll give it a go. Like I'm obsessed with that Shabuzi song at the minute. Like,
Right.
I immediately learn it on the guitar, and obviously
Yeah.
I'm going down a country path at the minute. But I listen to more of my music when I'm with you. Like we spoke about the Bring Me the Horizon album. You played me that yesterday. Absolutely love it. So it'll be quite cool later. We're going to go for a barbecue and a few drinks with Kyle. So maybe on the way down there, bang a few songs on, give it a try.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool. So wasn't you supposed to be doing something else in London?
Yeah, so me and Drew had already booked tickets for the Dog Star. We'd had it booked for a while, and then so we were like, "Oh, we're in London anyway. Let's see what else is on."
Yeah.
And Sir Ian McKellen is doing a 12-week run of a play. It's Play of Kings. It's called. It's an adaptation of Henry IV, parts 1 and 2. Sorry. So a Shakespeare play basically, and.
Was that the one that we saw when we was in?
Yeah, we saw the poster for it.
London Spirited Away.
Yeah, we saw the poster for it, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, what are the chances of them being tickets on the same day? And there was. It was a 2:30 performance. I was like, "That's perfect. Getting early, get into London early. We can do that at lunchtime, and then go see Dog Star in the
Bit
evening."
of snap, have a beer,
Yeah,
get in the gig.
what a
a
great
day.
what a great day.
Oh, God, yes.
And so I was like, "There's no way there'll be tickets though." Looked, there was a whole venue full. So we managed to get tickets. We're like second row from the
Wow.
front. We're like, unbelievable. This would be fantastic.
Were they
Like,
expensive?
yeah, well, not overly. What would your guess be? Second row. We're in London at the West End. How much is that going to set you back?
I'd say a ton.
90 quid.
Okay, not bad, yeah.
Which it was the same price as the front row as well. So it's that first block.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
thought not too bad because I looked because that play is going on tour as well around the UK, and I was looking for similar tickets in Birmingham, 180 quid, and you're like that's where it gets silly, but you kind of expect it these days with
Yeah,
gig tickets
yeah.
or like theatre tickets or any kind of event. So yeah, I managed to do that, but then. As most people have seen in the news, he had a fall off of the stage on Monday night.
During a performance?
During a performance, so
Oh.
he was circling. I think there was a fight scene going on, and his character was circling round, and he lost his bearings
Oh,
and
bless
fell off
him,
the stage. 85 years
I
old.
was going to
isn't he?
say
So,
advanced age as well. He's not going to bounce back like
yeah,
anyone
so they
else
had to evacuate the building, send him off to hospital. I think he's okay, doing in good spirits. And then it was like an announcement came out saying, "Oh, he's not doing Tuesday's performance, but he'll be back for Wednesday." I was like, "Oh, thank God for that," because we're seeing him on Wednesday. And then anyway, they sent us an email Tuesday night, the night before, saying he's still not well enough. We're cancelling the performance tomorrow, so you're getting a full refund. So it was a shame that we didn't get to see Sir Ian McKellen, because Drew has never seen him before and has never been to a proper theatre gig before, a theatre performance. Whereas I've been lucky enough, me and Claire have seen Ian McKellen live twice. Again, we were right front, got incredible tickets. I got Claire tickets for her birthday years ago for King Lear, and that was amazing. And, you know, he signed our programme and everything. I got pictures. So that was just like an unbelievable experience. And then we saw him again in Windsor for Hamlet. So it was a shame, but for me, it was all like, that was an added bonus anyway to the day. Even though I was kind of, by the end of it, I was kind of looking forward to that more than the Dog Star gig. But, you know, hopefully he'll recover soon, and we wish him a speedy recovery.
We do indeed. Speaking of sad news, we better really talk about this because, again, you know, certain things happen in life. We've had to mention this a few times, horrendously. But actors that we grow up with that sadly pass away. And we saw the sad passing of Donald Sutherland a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Which is heartbreaking. I mean, 88 years old. Good innings.
Very good innings.
But, you know, I mean, you were saying yesterday, like, we was having a look at his filmography, and Donald Sutherland's one of those people that even if you don't really know who he is, maybe the younger generation, there's a film that you go, oh, him.
Yeah.
Whether it be the Hunger Games. I mean, Hunger Games is one I would describe to a more younger audience.
Oh, absolutely. It was quite interesting to me because we were talking about it at work, and like some of the younger members of staff, like they were on about it, and I was like, bloody hell, you know who Donald Sutherland is? And they're like, yeah, because he was President Snow in the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
You know, and you think, oh, actually, that's a huge franchise. So this whole like generation do actually know him, as well as, you know, he's been going since like the 60s and 70s. So, you know, my dad grew up with like the old war films that he's in, you know, Kelly's Heroes and The Dirty Dozen and stuff like that. So he's one of those that stood the test of time, and he's just one of those guys that, like, exactly like you said, that it's like, oh yeah, that guy, like, oh, I've seen him in loads, like, you know, just flicking through his, you know, he's got nearly like 200 credits, like acting credits, and he just pops up in so many things that I've seen, you know, like random ones where it's like, okay, yeah, he's in the Hunger Games, but then he'll just pop up in like The Mechanic or whatever with Jason Statham, or like The Pillars of the Earth, a show series that I saw, Fool's Gold. Like, I've actually seen him in loads and loads of stuff.
Very
Pride and
versatile
Prejudice,
actor, isn't he?
Yeah, so he can go from like your serious, you know,
period pieces,
drama pieces, to then like playing in like an action or a comedy, and he just always brought like a really cool presence. I found.
Yeah.
My favourite role is probably for Kelly's Heroes. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I've never seen it, no.
So it's from 1970. I got introduced to it because someone said to me, because he's quite young in it, it's a World War II film. It's good fun, actually. It's from what I remember, during World War II, a bunch of soldiers get word of some gold that's like some German gold or something that's nearby, and they go off on a mission to try and find it. So they're like, and it's just like a bit like a war adventure film. It's a bit mad, really. Let me just get it up. So, a group of US soldiers sneak across enemy lines in World War II France to get their hands on secret stash of Nazi treasure.
Amazing.
Clint Eastwood and Donald Sutherland are the two big leads that people will know now, even though there's other actors in there that are known to that generation. I got introduced to that because someone said to me when I was a bit younger, when I first started being able to grow a big beard, and I always wore like in winter, you know, like the sort of like the leather like sheepskin hat types, it come down over your ears as
yeah.
well. And someone said, "You look just like Donald Sutherland from Kelly's Heroes." I was like, "What? That's such a random thing." And he was like, yeah. I was like, "What?" So I went and watched it anyway. So Donald Sutherland plays the tank commander, Sergeant Oddball, he's called, and he's basically a hippie. And he's
Amazing.
just such a cool role. He's just so much fun. Say it's like a war film. It's like an action comedy.
Yeah.
And he's just like, he's just this proper hippie. He's like, oh, like, don't make like the vibes, man. Like, it's like this is obviously pre-hippies, really.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
1940. Well, it was a 1970s film, but like you wouldn't have seen
Set in
really
the 40s,
a hippie in World War II. So that was actually really good fun. But again, that just shows that I think he was just someone that had fun whilst acting, just loved his job. Like, and
Yeah.
there's something to be said for that. And the outpouring that we've seen is massive.
massive.
Like, we were looking at it yesterday, weren't we? Because Kiefer Sutherland put a post on Instagram, and the amount of people, like famous people that were commenting, like David Beckham was on there, Norman Reedus was on there. Like, these like huge people in their own right were all like seemed to be gutted. Viola Davis has come out, and like loads of people all said like he was such a sweetheart, he was such a nice guy. Like, no one's come out with a bad word to say about him. And I think in an era now where people are getting cancelled left, right, and centre, and people like some people just, I don't know, do things. What we were talking about this the other day, weren't we? Like, some people just seem to do things controversially just to try and stay relevant.
Yeah, of course.
And you got someone like that who's just like a normal guy, like a nice bloke who's just stood the test of time by being a decent guy and enjoying his job, having fun, not in it to like win Oscars or make loads of money, just doing it because he's like, I want to play all these different characters.
And I think they're very important words of wisdom to anyone, really. Like, you don't have to be relevant. You just be nice.
Yeah.
You'll be remembered for that.
Exactly.
You won't be remembered for your 10 minutes of controversy. You'll be remembered for being that guy that everybody loves.
There's a picture of Donald Sutherland as that guy that...
I can see it. Yeah, I can see that. You've always had an oddball look about you, haven't you?
Yeah, so that's one of them where it's a weird one because... Like we said this before, I think when we talked about Ray Stevenson when he passed, like these like sort of actors that I wouldn't go straight away like, oh, one of my favorite actors, but when they do pass, you go reflect and it's like you don't appreciate them as much until they've gone.
You gutted because you see it's really weird because like your big actors, so I don't know. I'll pluck out Christian Bale. Love Christian Bale, blah, blah, blah. If he passed away, you'd be gutted.
Yeah.
But you actually see these people in a lot more, and you kind of respect these people in a lot more. And they're normally the side character, the henchman or whatever. But you're like, fuck, he is my everyday actor. He's going to be in that comedy I watch, and then the drama that I watch, and then the horror that I watch. These people, I mean, especially like Ray Stevenson, sorry. Like, he was in so much.
Yeah, exactly. And you flick through his like credits and you're going, oh my God, actually, I've seen so many of his films without even realising it. And Donald Sutherland's definitely one of them where, I'm flicking through his filmography. I'm like, oh shit, I've seen such a high percentage of these films that he's in. And whether he's a tiny part, like a big part, whatever, like, yeah.
Yeah, it really is a sad day, but it's so nice to see the outpour of just people saying what a great human being he was. And, this is one of those, everyone's always got something nice to say about people when they pass away. A perfect example about that, Kevin Smith always had this massive thing with Prince because he did some work with him once and he was like, the dude's a fucking weirdo. Then when he died, he did this massive long podcast where he cried on it, mourning him and stuff. And I was like, dude, you slagged him off a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Whereas with someone like Donald Sutherland, you believe every word that's said, and you're like, I just see it.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
isn't people being nice for being nice. Like, this guy was genuinely loved.
Yeah, and like if I saw someone shared it, and it was his because he didn't ever get nominated for an Oscar, but he got an honorary Oscar for Academy Award for Lifetime Achievement. I think it was back in 2017, and you should check out his speech because it's like really sweet. And it sort of very much sums up the man, I think.
Amazing.
He sort of says, like, if I could thank every character that I've ever played for getting me here and for me learning from them and taking a bit of them and getting me... It's really, really nice.
YouTube that, yeah.
It's really good.
So a sad loss, and, our thoughts will be with Kiefer and the rest of the family at this time. Right, should we just take a minute, maybe have a pause, bring Drew out, because we have been speaking about Drew, so I'm feeling a bit of Drew, and we'll get a snack. Because I want a coffee as well.
That'd be lovely, actually. Coffee, because it's very rare that we do an early morning, morning recording session.
We literally had McDonald's breakfast and then started recording. It's good for us.
I know.
So yeah, all right. And so Drewski, we've been speaking a lot about you. So why don't you come out and sing us a song, mate?
Here come Sam and Ryan, listen to them both speak. They've come 2 hours on with their pop culture critique. But are you even a nerd if you don't overread? So come on everybody, it's the snack of the week.
Oh, Drewski, you handsome, handsome boy, how I miss thee.
I know, I got to spend the day with him.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm
which
really
was
jealous.
Good fun. He took me to a pub called The Slaughtered Lamb.
Ooh.
Which is a replica of the Slaughtered Lamb pub from An American Werewolf in London.
No way.
Yeah, so obviously I brought that up on a few episodes ago, saying that I'd watched that, like a cult classic, and Drew then went to watch it as well because he'd never seen it before. Absolutely loved it, said it was incredible. So found that pub. So yeah, so we went there and had a couple of beers there, which was really cool.
That is awesome. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. Well, they've since lost the official rights to it, so they've had to get rid of some of the memorabilia apparently. Because I think they used to have the actual sign, because the sign, like the pub, like the pub sign with the pictures on it, the classic. Yeah. So that one, I think in the film, it's like a wolf's head that's like been ripped off or something, so it's like quite prop. So they used to have that actually hanging out, but they've lost the actual rights to the film.
Right.
So they can keep the name and the logo, like the font, because you can't copyright a font. But like the actual pictures and stuff, they've got rid of. It's a bit of a shame, but
it's
still
that
cool.
Something like that probably brings in money. Because they're going to keep doing it.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah.
So they've got like the pentagrams and stuff on all the shirts. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
Love that. Cool. Shall we have a little snicky snacky snoo then, mate?
Yeah. Scraping the barrel today for snicky snacky snoos.
We are scraping the barrel because now here's the problem. You come to Sam's house, and even if we haven't got a snack of the week given to us by a listener, my house is always full of shit.
Yes.
I have a child. I'm a fat guy. There's always snacks in my house, whereas around here, you're a very healthy family in this house, so it's always apples and eggs.
Apples and eggs, yeah.
But luckily, your darling wife has recently just been given some gifts.
She has.
Ready for baby coming, which is very sweet. So we've raided her gifts.
Yeah. All the kids from her school have just given her like presents and chocolate and sweets,
which
and
is
stuff,
so sweet, isn't it? What a nice thing.
Yeah, it really is.
So we've gone through the sweetie jar, and I think these are probably a staple.
Oh yeah, they definitely are.
These are a British staple of any bag of mixed sweets you get on maybe Halloween for trick-or-treating, or any box or anything you buy. So Swizzler is the make, or Swizzles. Swizzles. So these are Swizzle Fizzers.
Fizzers, yeah.
Just plain and simple.
Yeah.
Just a little tablet-sized fizzy sweets that you pop in your gullet hole and go, well, that was disappointing.
Yeah, like the equivalent of Parma Violets. Parma Violets are my favourite sweet. I don't really like sweets that much, but with our mystery guests that we had around last night, we devoured them all. So we didn't think to leave any for today. So we've got the second best thing, the Fizzers,
which is the Fizzers. So we got a couple of pinks there, mate. I don't think that they actually taste any different, but
I don't know. We'll see. A couple of the pinks
together.
Yeah.
Let's get these in our gobs.
Quite sour, actually.
Very sweet, very sour. You've got the sour face going on at the minute.
Yeah.
The eye squint. You're going back for more. So that's a good sign.
Those quite nice, the little tiny tablet ones in the packet. Like you said, they're a staple.
Yeah.
Of all bags of sweets.
I think inoffensive as a sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're really getting me in the sours.
Right in the sour.
Right in the sours.
My
face is contorting all over the place.
Now, we'll be honest, if we have sweets in my house, my daughter does have a sweet box.
Yeah.
And whenever we get snacks, we put it in the sweet box. If she ever wants a snack, she can just go and help herself. I do always put the Swizzlers in there.
Yeah.
I won't put them in my snack box.
No.
Because it's not something I want. But, actually, not horrendous.
No.
British staple.
Yeah. The way we're putting it on our tier system.
I'd go middle tier. Smack bang in the middle. I'd have it again.
Have it again?
If someone passed me, I won't go out and buy Swizzles. fizzers. But if someone just went, oh, yeah, I have some fizzers, I go, yeah, nice one.
Yeah, I get that, and I don't disagree. But I'm not a big sweet fan generally.
No, you're not.
So it's sweets are always if I have to a little bit.
Yeah.
A bag of sweets. Chocolate's different and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
But
I think with a sweet, you're always going to sit at that level. Aren't
yeah,
you?
so that's
Because
not.
you're a sweet
It's
fan.
nothing against a sweet that itself. I think where you put it is probably a fair
Yeah,
representation.
we'll keep it in the middle of I'd have it again because I'd definitely have it again.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go out my way. And I'm not going to lie to you, actually a little bit nicer than I remember because I've not had them in so long.
Yeah.
So I do give them away. Yeah, all right. And I like a sour. I like a fizzer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still not as good as the Parma Violets.
Not as good as Parma Violets, but Parma Violets are just banging in anything.
True. Yeah.
You know, the good thing about Parma Violets is like they've expanded as well. Parma Violet gin. You get Parma Violet Brothers ciders now.
Really? I've
Oh,
not had
yeah,
them.
mate, yeah,
I forgot Brothers Ciders.
Yeah,
the thing.
I think they brought that out at the same time they brought out like the toffee apple, and there's another flavour they brought out as well.
Yeah.
Like an apple crumble or something. I can't remember, but yeah, but nice, but very nice, and we like a Parma Violet, so
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
go wrong,
fair.
can you? Cool. Right, we are going to move on then, and we're going to. Should we discuss a couple of films we've watched recently?
Let's do it.
Let's start with the film that we watched last night.
Yeah, it was nice. That it's nice. It's nice that we can get together and watch a film in person because we always a lot of time we'll intentionally watch similar films or the same film to talk about it, but very rarely in the same room.
Yeah, very rarely. And what was very special about last night as well, the film that we watched is a Spanish horror. So it's subtitled. We'd had such a long day at work. We were both exhausted, full of Chinese. We'd recorded. We'd been drinking. So it was quite late. It wasn't the best time to be watching a subtitled film.
No.
Max was with us. Claire was with us. So, you know, there's 4 of us. So a lot of distractions. But it went down nicely. And the film is an hour and 19 minutes.
Perfect length for a film, isn't it?
Yeah, and the reason we got onto this film was we had a big day discussing zombie movies yesterday, didn't we?
We did.
It was just something a friend brought up to me about top 3 zombie movies of all time. And you said to me about this film, Wreck, which we're about to discuss. And I was like, fuck, I loved that film. Now, so Wreck is a Spanish zombie film. It's a found footage film with a TV crew that are following the fire brigade around, just seeing what an evening is like with them. They get called out to help someone in these apartment blocks. They go inside. This woman who needs help is a zombie.
Basically, yeah.
Basically,
They obviously don't know, but yeah.
They can't leave.
They go to leave, yeah. One of them gets injured. One of the policemen gets injured. They go to leave, but they've been sealed in. Like, the SWAT teams and everything are all outside saying, do not leave. If you attempt to leave, we'll shoot you, basically.
Yeah.
And
that
await instructions.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the vibe.
Yeah, and that's all it is. So just chaos is ensuing inside. The police are trying to keep on top of it. You know, the firemen are trying to take a bit of charge. And just one by one, people are getting picked off. And your typical zombie film stuck inside an apartment block. Now, I think this film was 2007?
Yeah, 2007, yeah.
2007. So, you know, a fair few years now, but still modern-ish to a certain extent. This film was redone by the Americans and called Quarantine. And I think it's very shot for shot, if I remember right.
I've not actually seen Quarantine.
Not as good.
Right.
And I've not seen Quarantine in years, and it might just be the fact that I loved Wreck when I watched it for the first time that I didn't enjoy Quarantine as much.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the fact that it was actually a foreign film and the subtitles, and it just gave it something a bit different. And things get Americanized.
Oh,
don't they?
yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
not saying that's a bad thing all the time, but for me, Quarantine didn't quite hit the mark. So yeah, we was discussing this and was joking, saying, "Oh, we'll wait till 1 o'clock in the morning and put it on with candles," and that's exactly
What we did, yeah.
So, how did you find the experience? What did you think of the film?
Well, this is the second time I've seen that film. The first time I watched it was in 2008. I remember it specifically. I was in my first year of uni, and I was not into horror then.
Not like we are now.
No, and horror scared me, like, and I openly admitted that. And like that was I was like, I had a love-hate relationship with horror because I enjoyed's the wrong word. I liked the experience, but I definitely got scared. I wasn't like overly saturated. And I remember watching this and being fucking terrified afterwards. And we watched it late at night, and I can remember it was in the block of like our uni accommodation. So it's like you know, the halls of residence, and I had to go outside. So it's like very much like an apartment block, and I had to go outside in the dark to put collect some washing from the washing machine or something. And I can remember I was genuinely looking around. It's like you're looking in all the shadows, and it's dark, and this film is very dark. So it's set at night. It's all through. The whole film is through the camera of the camera crew man who's following the report around. So it's all quite dark, and it's not, it's shaky camera. So I found like I was literally looking over my shoulders when I was doing it, and it stuck with me. So watching it again this time, 16 years later, thinking, is it going to hold up as well? And I absolutely think it did.
Yeah,
it was still so good. Like, obviously, you know what to expect. Like,
and I think that's what takes it away ever so slightly. Just what's coming,
yeah.
Which is fine.
It's fine, but I couldn't remember it exactly. I just remembered certain bits, like there's the scene at the end in the attic.
Yeah.
The final shot is quite an iconic shot. I'm not going to give spoilers away for people, but what happens to the character at the end, I remember that, and I remember pretty much the entirety of the attic sequence at the end, because that stuck with me, because that's horrific, because it's all in the dark. And it's one of them where it's actually in the dark. Like, I read the trivia of it, and they filmed it in the pitch black.
Oh, wow.
They filmed it so the actors who were... Because what you're seeing there is, again, through the camera in the film, but they've got the night vision on.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what they did for the film. They
amazing.
filmed it in infrared, so the actors that you're seeing that are stumbling around in the dark are actually stumbling around in the dark.
That's how you're going to get it, though, isn't it?
And
you don't need to act. We will just make you do it.
This is what really works for that, because it's filmed like a documentary, and it's a Spanish film, and they intentionally cast unknowns. It feels like a documentary, and I think that's what makes it scary. It looks like it's very believable. There's nothing that's over the top. It's a zombie film. Pinch of salt. There's nothing that, like the interactions, the fighting, it's all realistic. It's like okay, a policeman has a gun, but that's about it. The rest of that is just like pushing people away, trying to get away, and it just plays on those basic human fears that we have. In the pitch black, in the dark, stumble around, it's scary.
Yeah.
You can do that. That is just scary naturally.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's probably the two, because there's two there, really. The being in the dark, which is a big one, and being stuck, because they can't leave.
Yeah.
So there's your two fears immediately within you. We need to get out of here.
Yeah.
But if we leave, we'll get shot.
And I'm going to add a third to that, being chased.
Oh, God.
There is so many sequences in this that are awful, because it's an apartment block and it's all on like a spiral staircase.
Yeah.
So they are being chased up the stairs, down the stairs, and they are running, and someone is sprinting after them. And that's
these are runner zombies as well.
That's horrible. Like,
absolutely.
It's horrible when someone runs up the stairs after you anyway. So add in the zombies, and there's some incredible shots. And like I said to you, I was like, at one point, I was like, there's the money shot.
Oh, yeah.
Where they come out, they're looking for someone, they look down the spiral staircase, and all these zombies on all the different levels just look up at them, scream with blood in their look, like this horrific looks on the faces, and start sprinting up the stairs instantly.
And they've got one floor to go before they're in the attic, and you're like, fuck.
And you're like, run!
Yeah,
like, it's one of them, like, you literally almost want to be shouting at the TV, like, fucking move! It's such a good film for creating that tension, and it still holds up really well now. And I kind of forget that that's a zombie film, actually, because maybe because I've only seen it the one time, and not many people really talk about it. But it's for a horror film, it's bloody brilliant.
And I think this is it, isn't it? When you're talking about zombie films, you're always going to go to your classics: your Dawn of the Dead, your Night of the Living Dead, your Shaun of the Dead's, 28 Days Later, Walking
Zombieland,
yeah, because it is a bit more of an open world. I mean, granted, fair enough, Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead are not there encased as well, but a bit more of a bigger scale. And again, it being foreign, so it's not one that everyone's seen.
No, it's not. I put it in a similar bracket to like 28 Days Later.
Yes,
it's because it's all like, I mean, 28 Days Later is filmed on like handheld cameras to give that grainy sort of realistic effect. This is the same. The only difference is this is shaky cam as well, because it's an actual character's holding the camera, which can be very off-putting for people. Not a lot of people like shaky cam, and there is a couple of sequences in this where they're running and like, or that he's like bobbing and weaving to look past characters, and it can be quite nauseating for people. it's not overly bad for me. I didn't think this one's. There was only a couple of times where I was a bit like, oof.
And I think that was probably a little bit more the fact we was tired. And,
Oh, yeah.
and you're reading subtitles.
And we had a
there's
couple
lot
of
going on
drinks and stuff, so
visually,
it wasn't horrendous. But it feels realistic. It holds up really well now. It's got a great rating for a horror film. It's got like 7.4 or something
is
on IMDb,
big
which
for
is
horror.
big for horror.
For an unknown horror film, not so much unknown, but for a low budget.
Yeah, that's it. A low budget. I think it was made for like $1.5 million.
Yeah.
Which in the film world is nothing.
It's fuck all, yeah.
That is spare change.
Yeah.
Spawn a franchise. There's 4 of them now.
Yeah.
I've never seen any other than one, and it wasn't until we were reading last night that I realised that 2 directly follows on.
Yeah, so I'll watch 2. I won't bother with 3 and 4, I don't think.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I've never seen any of the others either.
No, I think 4 is the same universe as well. 3 looks like it's a spin-off, but yeah, 2 was apparently it literally takes place 2 minutes after the end of the first one, which is quite cool. So I'd quite like to watch that as well. I think that's on Shudder because
We're drinking again tonight, so should we just get back at silly o'clock and watch it tonight?
and watch it tonight.
Get
Yeah,
some
we'll do
candles on
2.
again.
Get the candles on, and we'll watch it. We'll go 2 for 2, which would be quite cool. Yeah, great film.
Yeah, big fan. I'm glad we decided to watch it. Yeah, it's just nice, isn't it? To sit down. We never get to do this, really.
No.
So it's nice to sit down and just watch a film that we've both seen before, don't overly remember, but just having... and it's a gamble, isn't it? Because we have such fond memories of this film.
That's it.
We were different people. And I mean, I've always been big into horror. So for me, this was, again, one of those that in a sea of shit when it comes to horror, this stood out.
Yeah.
So I was very much of the same mindset as I was back then, whereas for you, a little bit different. You're more saturated with it now. You watch more.
But it still holds up again because, you know,
definitely.
like, we were talking about zombie films, and it's... Okay, there's a lot of great zombie films, but it's outnumbered by the amount of shit zombie films that are out there.
Yeah, I mean, just
Like-
look at 10 to 15 years ago, maybe somewhere in the middle, where zombies were the biggest thing.
Oh,
at the
yeah, it
time,
was.
Or every book was zombies. It was like when World War Z got huge.
Yeah, and
You know,
then...
I've got so many zombie books at home from that boom
Yeah.
of just like how to survive the zombie.
Yeah,
apocalypse
exactly.
all
And they're
bits
just
bobs.
churning out B movie after B movie.
all
And
it
they're all zombies, you know, zombie strippers, Cockneys versus zombies, like stupid stuff because zombies was the biggest thing in the
Yeah,
world.
absolutely.
It's still big now, but it's definitely died off. It had a boom where like sort of for like 5 to 10 years, it was all zombies.
Yeah, I mean, I think Walking Dead definitely helped that.
Yeah, and then all the games, Left 4 Dead, Dead Rising, you know, it was huge. And I think Wreck actually still stands the test of time as actually like a hidden gem in that saturated world of zombie films. So
So you haven't
Go
seen
check it out.
Yeah, go check it out. Definitely recommend it. I'd go Wreck over Quarantine.
definitely recommend it.
Hey, get out. I would recommend Wreck over.
You can't.
I can't not hear it now, you fucker. Over Quarantine, but you know, Quarantine again is the Americanized version, so very similar, same sort of setting. One quick film. I only want to do a couple of minutes on this before we go to the big thing that you want to talk about. Obviously, everyone has been waiting for the year 2024 for one film. I mean, this is up there with Endgame, the anticipation for that film, and I've managed to watch Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, that everyone has been waiting for. They've been waiting for this. They've been waiting for the rise of all the horror films that have been spun off from Disney characters and all these other like things that have automatically turned into public domain. So
Yeah.
these guys have ripped it. So what I really liked about it, I think it was the end credits, the start of the end credits before the main thing. There was a load of artwork in the background, and it was all the artwork, very good, very gothic-y artwork of what's coming up. So obviously we've got Neverland coming, which is Peter Pan. So they're doing Peter Pan.
Yeah.
They're doing Bambi. They're doing Pinocchio. There's going to be another Winnie the Pooh. I really like that at the end being like, okay, so they're touching this, they're touching that, they're going down these different things. And again, they're all going to be C-list horror films.
Oh God,
They're
yeah.
never going to get a cinema release, anything like that. But I'm looking forward to them because they're just tosh.
Yeah.
Just silly nonsense. And this film was silly nonsense. The first one, which you've still not seen the ending to, it's all Piglet and Pooh. but now they've got Tigger and Owl.
Right.
And Owl, then it looked fuck all like Tigger and Owl, but like, you know, Owl's like the big boss baddie, and
Right,
they bring
okay.
a really shit storyline of like Pooh is actually Christopher Robin's brother who got like scientific experiments on, and like they bring that into it. But actually the beginning premise of it I was really excited about.
Okay.
Because it was the idea of, after what happened, 60% of people just assume that Christopher Robin is a murderer. Mm-hmm. And he's lying and he's murderous, so he's an outcast, he's being pushed, he's losing his job after everything he went through. Whereas the other 40% of Earth believe him and are trying to burn down 100 Acre Woods to flush out Pooh and Piglet.
Right.
So now they're outcasts and trying to find somewhere to live. And I was like, okay, actually, as silly as this sounds,
Yeah.
good storyline for a Winnie the Pooh film. Like, yeah, okay, so they're both going to be outcasts. Are they going to work together? Like, there's so much they could do with this. They did fuck all with it, unfortunately, because it's Winnie the Pooh.
Obviously.
But I was a little bit excited about that premise, like when I first put it on, and it's just silly nonsense again. A lot of people being murdered. They're talking about this big rave that they all might go to. So obviously they all... Owl stood looking over this rave, and Pooh and Tigger are just looking, and they're like, it's time to have fun, boys. And they just go in, killing everyone. But of course they go there, and everyone's got the tits out, and everyone's wearing next to nothing.
Yeah.
Because it's that type of horror film. But for what it is, if you want a silly nonsense horror film, again...
It's going to scratch that itch, isn't
It's going to
it?
scratch that itch, and for me, it did scratch that itch. It was
Nice.
just silly nonsense. I am genuinely looking forward to what they do, because again, this is like anything. Like when we get into the Final Destination films and the Saw films, yeah, they're great to start off with, but then by the end, they're like, let's just see what they do with it. Let's just see how they kill people off.
Yeah.
That's what these films are. You're doing Bambi. How?
Yeah.
How are you going to do Bambi? It's
Yeah.
going to be done badly. Of course it is.
Oh,
because
it's
of
going to
what
be
it is.
ridiculous, yeah.
But they're spawning a franchise that I feel is going to be a cult classic franchise.
Oh, it's already getting that way, isn't it? Because we're already seeing it like horror conventions and stuff like that. People that, you know, we've already got the actors who play bloody Winnie the Pooh's there, or people dressing up as Winnie the Pooh in this horror thing. So
Kyle met Winnie the Pooh.
he did, yeah. So people love this. It's a big world. People absolutely. There's a whole. You know, horror is a massive, massive genre, and people like yourself and like me will watch this tosh for exactly what it is,
Yeah.
and enjoy it for exactly what it is. It's not going to win any awards other than maybe like the Razzies for the worst thing,
Yeah,
or
of
whatever.
course, which is fine.
But that's fine because it's not taking itself seriously. It's just daft escapism.
Of course it is. And the thing is, horror aren't the only people that do this. Action is worse.
Yeah.
Action just bring out bollocks action films.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
With Z-list celebrities or celebrities that are on their arse just to bring out an action
Exactly.
movie.
And then
Bad
they'll be done
CGI,
badly. Yeah, exactly.
bad everything. And again, but I know so many people. I'm not the biggest of action fan unless it's a blockbuster. So I don't watch a lot of that. My road is the horror road for that. But I've got so many people that watch these films because they say, I haven't got to think for 90 minutes, and people are shooting people, and there's a car chase and something blows up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is with this. It's 90 minutes of not engaging your brain and watching people get... I mean, there's a scene where in about 30 seconds, Winnie the Pooh removes 4 people's heads. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm there to see.
Yeah,
I've not got to think about it.
It's just like what a ridiculous sentence.
Exactly. And for that, and that's what makes it amusing to me. Winnie the Pooh removed 4 people's heads in 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's just utter nonsense, but it's just good fun. It's yeah.
Brilliant. So, yeah, if you can get hold of that, it's just good fun. We've got about 10 minutes left, and there's something that you wanted to discuss, actually. Something we very rarely discuss on this podcast.
Oh, I know, and I'm excited.
A book.
A book. I've read a whole book from start to finish in 2 days.
I'm proud of you, mate.
Thank you.
So tell us about this book, because you're very excited about it. Yesterday, we spoke so much about this book without you telling me anything about this book, because you kept going, I'll save it for the podcast.
I know, it's one of them, that annoying thing that always happens where I'm really excited to tell you something. It's like, oh, no, I'll save it for the podcast because we need to tell everyone else as well. So, yeah, it all started because as you well know, I'm a terrible reader.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a bit ADHD, so I struggle to concentrate for long periods of time, and I'll get bored and get distracted, put it down, and never pick it back up. But I saw this book in Waterstones. It just jumped out at the shelf at me, and it's a James Herbert
So a
book.
classic author.
So yeah, and for those that don't know James Herbert, he's a British horror, or was a British horror writer, probably the most famous British horror writer. Started in like the 70s and went right up until I think he died in like 2013 or something.
Okay.
But huge, and I've got one of his books before, and it was terrifying. I read the prologue and I was shit scared, so I put it down.
Amazing.
I can't remember which one that was, but anyway, this just jumped out at me. It's just a short book. It's his first ever novel, and it's called The Rats. And I was like, you know what? I might give it a try. I'll go into London. I've got a long journey down, long journey back. I'll try reading the book. It's only short. It's like 200 pages, so it's not a massive book. I'll give it a go. Nothing to lose. Oh my God, I could not put this book down.
Really?
The only time I put
page turner.
it was a proper page turner. Like, an ideal for like people like me and you, because like who aren't big readers. The nice short chapters, but oh my God, it's horrific. The only time I put it down was when I felt a little bit sick, and I had to put it down to give myself a minute.
Interesting.
So the premise is, it was written in 1974, and it's set in that time period, and it's set in the East End of London, and it's basically about rats. Like, rats start taking over and they start attacking people, but there's these huge, like almost like mutant rats, these massive black rats that are more like dogs, started appearing in London, in the East End. And it's a bit of a social commentary on like London at that time, because it was very poor. There was like pre-war post-war London. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of slums. There's lots of like dilapidated buildings, basements, bombed out places. So it's a lot of places where the government haven't tidied up and would be a breeding ground for rats.
Oh, yep.
So obviously it's just gone a little bit more fantasy, where it's got like these bigger mutant ones. And there is a main character, Harris, who's like your everyday hero. He's just a school teacher.
Okay.
He gets brought up into it because one of his students one day turns up to school who got bitten by a rat, and then he gets interwoven in the story and becomes an integral character. But his sort of chapters, because they're only short chapters, are interspersed with like random other characters, and it'll give you a little bit of their backstory. So it'll be like, I don't know, the opening chapter is about I can't remember his name, Henry or something, who worked for a company, and he was like secretly gay, and then he was working his way up to area manager, and then like he had an affair with like a young boy, and then like life was great, but then everyone found out, and they would start sniggering at him. He lost all his respect, turned to alcohol, lost his job, moved to London, was on the streets, just an alcoholic, like a drunk, and that's a very short
rats.
Like this is the opening chapter.
Yeah.
He finds a bottle of like whiskey or whatever, and he stumbles into an abandoned building, and then like passes out, and he wakes up to this pain in like his side or whatever. And he wakes up and like there's a rat attacking him. He's like, oh my God, like panics and throws it away. He's like, what the hell? And then another one comes, and then another one comes, and the description of the way this man is eaten to death by rats is horrific.
Oh, I'm so excited to read
like,
this book.
It's just like just little things where it's like when you're reading, because I've never read like a full horror book before. I've listened to like The Shine and stuff, but like a proper horror, because when you see it in films, we're so used to it. Like we said, we've just talked about Saw and stuff, where you're seeing people die in horrific ways, but seeing it and reading a description of it, the description's so much worse, especially
100%.
because you get in the thoughts of that character. So he's like, his mind is screaming in pain as this rat rips the tendons out of his ankles, so he falls to the ground, and then it's on his throat and it's ripping chunks out, and like his brain is screaming in pain. Like it's just honestly, I felt sick.
I think the thing is, if you was to see this in a film, you are seeing a rat kill someone.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I've seen this before.
Yeah.
But at no point is someone describing the pain that person's going through, describing describing the sound or the feeling or whatever of the skin being ripped from
Yeah,
the body,
exactly.
which is what you're going to get from a book, which is so much more terrifying than just going, okay, a rat's eating somebody.
And it's the thought. So like at one point, so that happened, and then like a chapter with like the main character, and there'll be a chapter of like another random person that we're slowly introduced to get killed later in that chapter.
Okay, yeah.
And one was like a young lad, and it's like he's basically trying to get the last train home. Having just seen his girlfriend, and he's annoyed because she's not putting out and stuff, and he's like, and it tells him about how he's got quite a good life. He gets on with his parents, and then like all the rats come out through the underground, and then he's trying to escape and run, and they pull him down and eat him alive. And it's like he's just screaming out for his mum and stuff like that. And you're like, I don't know why, but that just gets you in the feels much more.
That broke my heart. You saying that?
Yeah, and you're like, but you read in it, it's like this is horrific. I'm going to tell you about the chapter though
the chapter
that I had to put the book down.
Yeah, tell me this, because obviously I'm going to read this book, and I have watched horror films from your 12As to some of the most banned films in history that are pure fake snuff disgust.
I think this chapter... I'm going to put a disclaimer in here. Okay. If you are squeamish...
Turn off now.
Turn off now, because this is horrific. It made me feel sick. I had to put the book down. I was on the coach. I had to put the book down and look out the window for a bit. This chapter starts from the perspective of a 13-month-old baby.
Oh, no. I'm out.
Who's playing with the dog, the family dog, and is really happy because the dog is like licking it and licking her face. And she knows that little baby Karen knows that if she like pulls on the dog's tail, he's going to come over and lick her face. And she loves that because he's a furry friend and stuff. And then it describes like the mum sat there and a little description about the mum and their house and blah, blah, blah. She goes to put the kettle on. Run out of tea bags, hasn't she? So she's like, oh, you know what? I'll nip next door. Baby will be fine with the dog. I'll be literally 2 minutes. Nip pops outside, leaves the front door open.
Oh, no.
Anyway, the baby's playing with the dog. And then suddenly, she looks at the dog, who's now stood to it like on guard, on attention. And then because a little black shape has come in from the front door, Shane, the dog, runs over and grabs this rat that's come in the front door, rags it to pieces and throws it out. But then suddenly another one comes in, and another one. And then they're all over Shane. And they're tearing chunks out of Shane, the dog, who's like desperately trying to fend off all these rats.
Oh, no.
Meanwhile, this big rat comes straddling in right up to baby Karen, right in her face. Shane, the dog, senses, my friend, I need to protect this baby with everything he's got. As he's been torn to pieces by rats, thinks, no. One last effort, throws off the rats, runs over, tackles this big rat, and then like heroically turns to face the horde of rats. He holds them off for seconds. Mum comes back in, appalled by the scene in front of her of all these, like this, the whole floor is covered in rats. There's a bloody carcass of some sort in the corner, which is clearly Shane. She just sees a little white baby's hand sticking out from the mass of rats. She runs over, grabs the baby as the rats are hanging onto it. The rats then drop away, not because they've let go, but because the baby's flesh is just torn off.
Oh.
She runs out of the house carrying her dead baby.
Oh, my God. Yeah, okay, yeah.
That's the fucking level of horrificness, mate.
Oh, my God, yeah.
In a book where babies and dogs are fair game, that's the level how fucked up it is.
Oh, that's made me feel really hot.
Yeah. Honestly, it made me feel sick. And obviously, it's so much more descriptive than what I've just described.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's like chapter 3.
Oh, my God.
And I literally...
Please tell me that's as bad as it gets.
That's the worst bit. Yeah, but like, because after that, mate, I think you're just like... There's still the horrific scenes and the it's just, honestly, but like, it's so powerful and like traumatic. And I was like, that's so much worse than any horror film I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
But it's actually really quite... It gets less horrific because you get used to the format, and you know, you get attached to like character of Harris and stuff, who gets like caught up in the main thing, and he's a bit more heroic, like fighting off the rats and like trying to defend. There's an epic scene where they're defending the school, and it's kind of like a zombie apocalypse.
Okay.
Because these rats are smart. They come in. There's like a whole scene in the school where they're barricading and like fending them off, and the fire brigade turn up, and like they come up with these big plans to wipe out the rats and stuff. And it's like, but if you get bitten by the rat, you'll die within 24 hours because it's disease. It's
Of
super
course.
disease.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, it's properly like a zombie apocalypse.
Wow.
But honestly, it was insane. And it's so tense. There's an incredible sequence that I was halfway through when I was reading it, and I saved the second half for when I was travelling back on the tube, because it's all set on the underground, on the London Underground.
Nice.
So I was literally reading this sequence in the underground as I was at on the underground at night, and I kept looking out the window in the pitch black.
That's how to do it, though.
Yeah, honestly, I was literally immersed in this world.
Oh, mate, I love that.
You've got to read it because you will love it, and it's
Can
very
I take
accessible.
it with me today?
Yeah,
Is that okay?
take it, just read it, because it's, you know, this was on Wednesday when I was reading it when we with Drew. I told him about it, and I showed you some of the messages that he sent me, didn't I? Like, he's like, he just listened to it on Audible. He's like, mate, this book is absolutely epic.
Yes.
And he's loved it. He's demolished it in 2 days as well. He's like, it's incredible. It's horrific, but it's incredible.
Yeah,
like,
brilliant.
obviously, if you're into your horror, it's perfect. Like I said, disclaimer at the start. It's horrific.
Wow. Okay, so I'll take that with me then. I'll try and get that blasted over the net. I've not got a great amount on, so I'll actually put a bit of time into reading. It's a weird one, you know, because I've been saying to myself, I'm struggling with a bit of insomnia at the minute, so I was like, I need to stop reading before bed.
Yeah,
It's the best
perfect thing. Get off like phone, or
Yes.
turn the TV
I
off
can't
and
be
just
reading
read.
this before bed. Then.
Oh, you've got to.
Before bed?
Yeah. Do it.
My dreams are going to be fucked, but at least
I
I
know.
sleep.
Yeah,
Bad
exactly.
dreams, but at least I'm
I
sleeping.
know, yeah. So who knew? That's a whole other world of like horror genre that we've got just unlocked through like the books.
Achievement unlocked, my
Exactly.
friend.
And so apparently The Rats is 3 books in the series, so I'm desperate to read the next one now. Because, like I said, apart from that one sequence where I literally had to give myself a break for 5 minutes, I couldn't put it down.
Amazing. Well, watch this space, mate. I'll get it read hopefully over the next week, and we'll have a because I'm not a reader, and I think something like this, a genre I love, something I'm very passionate about. I think this will really get me into actually reading a bit more.
Yeah.
Amazing. Right, well, I think that's all we've got time for today. So a massive thank you to everyone that has listened. We hope you enjoyed the content. Again, get in contact with us. Let us know if you've read or seen any of these things. And also get in contact if there's anything in particular you would like us to see or do. Thomas, we are going to do that one that you passed to us X amount of months ago that we said we would. You know, we was going to do the... Oh, what was it that Thomas gave us? We prepped it to do, and then we didn't do it.
It was Biggest Plot Twists, wasn't it?
Biggest plot twist. Thomas, it's coming, we promise you. But we just need to get round to it. And just before we do it, we come up with something else. So we promise we're going to get there. We will do it. So get in contact. We're on Facebook. We're on X. We're on Instagram, Twitch, all that lot. TikTok. So please give us a like and a follow. And, you know, you'll not get through to us. You'll get through to Megan. But Megan's way better than us in every way.
Oh, absolutely, she is.
So you get to enjoy talking to Megan instead. So we'll sign off there then. I'm not going to drop you in it, Ryan. And,
thanks.
And mate, well, we've got editing and shit to do and beer to drink.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
more important. So, thank you very much for listening, and we will see you all next week. Peace.